Hello, and welcome to the latest installment of the Aras Innovator demo series. Today we're going to talk about Aras Innovator V12 user experience. A quick note about the demo series. It runs for 30 minutes and features all demo with no sales pitch. Typically twice a month, we show you a different capability of the Aras Innovator platform. Once the demo is complete, you can visit our website, www.aras.com/demo series, to view past demos as well as register for upcoming demos. We have on the line today Kenny Sperling, UX Architect at Aras. Kenny, take it away.
Thank you, Nicole, and welcome everybody. Before I begin the demo, I just want to point out that in version 12.0, there's a lot of new things, and in addition to the user experience enhancements that I'll be talking about today, we have things like authentication framework, as well as enhancements to enterprise search, the product engineering application, and effectivity services. But this demo today is just going to focus on the user experience enhancements that are designed to help the general Aras user and everybody using Aras Innovator. The features I'm going to demo today follow a few themes. One is clear presentation. We restyled and redesigned the client to make a simple and uncluttered view. Personalized navigation, provided a number of ways to make it easy for you to get to content that you care about. Various ways of working with multiple content at once, and an easier way to edit that content. So every one of the features I'll demo today basically falls in one of these themes. And with that, I'll move on to the demo. So first thing I'm going to do is launch Aras Innovator. And you'll notice right away that this does not open a second window like we did in Aras Innovator 11, but it launches directly in the web browser tab. So it's more intuitive to launching the application. And once you see the login page, you'll notice that that was redesigned as well. The login logo as well as the background image are customizable so that you can swap that out with something more suitable to your organization. You'll see the familiar database fields, username and password fields. And in addition, the first time you log in, you may see this additional field. I have a screenshot of it here, this login with field. This is the authentication framework, and if you have configured this, you can use this to log in with external applications such as Windows authentication. But after that first time you use that, it will be remembered so that that single sign-on will take you right into Aras Innovator. All right, so I'm going to log in now as the user Terry Adams. And you'll see that overall in general, if you're coming from Aras Innovator 11, you'll notice that Innovator 12 looks a lot different. We've restyled just about everything. New colors, new fonts, new icons, new design for really all the components of the client. And the goal of this is really to focus on clarity and accessibility and make it easier to understand what state things are in. Things like, if I select column and sort on it, it's very easy to identify that it's colored differently. If I select a button, you can see that it's activated. We want to make that really clear. And all those little changes add up to one big change that you feel this client is a lot more solid, a lot more understandable and fluid to use. And you'll notice up across the top, we have this new header, and that header appears on all pages. This big button at the top will open up the navigation panel. So you'll notice that you don't see the table of contents on this page right now, as you may be familiar with. But if you click that red button at the top, it'll open a flyout which contains that table of contents. I'm going to go ahead and open another search from here, just to show you that you can open that search as a separate tab now. So previously, all searches took place on a single main tab, which contained the table of contents. But now you're able to open up searches, open up items as separate tabs, and even from an item view, you can still open up that navigation panel and get to another search as well. So that's a major usability change in Aras Innovator 12, is that everything now opens as separate tabs. You can tab between them, you can change the order of them, and you can run multiple searches and come back to them rather than having to switch between them on the main tab. So just to show you that, I can then run a second search, another search on parts. This time I can change this to some different search criteria. I can change the width of the column, and you notice that if I tab back to that other search, that search remains unchanged. So I can keep multiple searches active at the same time on the same item type and on different item types as well. So there's no limit to the number of tabs you can have open at once, and you can easily get back to that content. Another thing is if you want to work with this table of contents visible at all times, you can click this pin button on the navigation panel, and you can then view that while you're looking at any other content. We have updated the table of contents as well, new styling, but also there's a few different ways to both search and create items. So you can right-click and select Create New or Search, as well as if you select this button right here, that will open a search directly, as I had done previously. But additionally, you can select on the item itself, and it will bring you to the secondary panel, which shows you two buttons for Create and Search. Clicking back will return you to the main table of contents. So part of the purpose of this is that we have some future plans for the rest of this panel. This is going to come into play when we do things like save searches and item favorites. You'll be able to show this on this panel, and that's coming in Service Pack 2. So just to illustrate that a little bit about save searches, we still can save searches as we were able to do previously, but instead of navigating to the search menu and to say save search, it's much simpler with this star button here. So let me run a search on assemblies and preliminary. And I can save that search by clicking the star. It says add to favorites. And after I give that save search a title, you actually see that displayed at the top here. The purpose of this title as well is to give you a very quick identifier of what page you're looking at. If I change to a different tab, I can see, for example, an item's keyed name, or if I change to a blank search, I will see that item type label, or if I have a save search, it will show that save search label. This navigation panel will additionally support future enhancements such as the favorites panel, which will allow you to organize all your favorites, save searches, and items in more of a organization like browser bookmarks, which is coming in a later service pack. In Service Pack 1, you'll also be able to pin these item types to a sidebar here to give you quick access to those item types you care about. So we've set up the initial version 12 to contain the nav panel and updated table of contents, but there's a lot more coming in this navigation panel as well. But you'll notice that just by virtue of it being available on all screens, item views, and searches, it really speeds up the process rather than navigating back and forth to that main tab as you had to in 11. All right, moving on to the item view, you'll notice that this item view has been updated. Where previously we had a separate panel for the form and the relationships, we now have accordions. So you can click this button at the top left of the accordion to expand and collapse each of these sections rather than having to manually slide up and down the slider as you did in version 11. The benefit of this is that if you have a long relationship grid, you can easily just use the mouse to scroll down this page, or you can collapse it and then scroll down the page. So we've introduced this new concept of the accordions. Also coming in future service packs will be the ability to configure this to add as many accordions as you want and place the tabs in any location on any accordion. So for example, you could have one single accordion with all your tabs along the top, or you could have each tab, each relationship appear as a separate accordion, or any combination you would like as best suits that business case. So look for that as well in the coming service pack. You'll notice too that there was a section with the item type icon and a few properties to the left of the form that was shown in version 11. We've removed that so that we can focus on just those properties that are relevant to the business case. Of course, you can always add that back in, although it is available still from the properties dialog. Moving on to commands. So a big change in Innovator 12 is that we've reorganized a lot of the commands where previously we had menu bars and toolbars, and we've reorganized all those commands into their proper contexts. So things like general commands, general actions that affect the entire client have been moved up in the header here. So this menu at the top here is the user menu. It will display the user's picture if there's one, or if not, it will show the user's initials. Clicking on it will show general things for the client, such as preferences, global actions and reports, and general things like about and access to help, as well as logout. On searches, It's been clarified to show only the search commands in this top toolbar. So everything pertaining to the search as a whole is contained now in the search toolbar. We've identified the most common actions with the bright blue enlarge button, so it's easy to click on that. And secondary commands have moved into menus, such as export to Excel and Word, have been contained in this menu and grouped together. So clarifying that organization and grouping like commands. Commands that have to do with an item, so that require a context item to execute, have been moved just into the context menu here or into the items toolbar. Also on search, you'll notice that all the paging commands have been moved down here to the bottom. So this is a little bit more natural. When you execute a search, look through the results and get to the bottom of the list, you can just click next from here. That's a larger button, easier to find, show the page count directly next to it, as well as the total results. You have your page size and your max results field right here. So all the commands pertaining to paging are grouped together now. So this is for both search and relationships as well. On the item view, we've also done a similar thing of grouping some of the commands together. We have this navigate command, navigate menu that opens up things like structure browser and where used, and the versions, lifecycle dialog, things like this have been grouped together in this navigate menu, as well as we've added a new command within this to quickly open up a new search on that item type that you're looking at without having to open up the table of contents again. So by clicking on that, that will open up a new search. Reports are grouped together, and the share menu, like search, contains the export commands, as well as we've added here the copy ID and copy link commands. Previously, these were only available inside of the properties dialog, which were a little bit difficult to get to sometimes, so this makes it much easier to grab those commands. So I can, for example, copy link, and you'll notice I get a nice notification up here at the top. And then custom actions and some less frequently used commands such as delete are contained in this kind of overflow menu. So edit. So a major change to the usability of editing items in version 12 has been the removal of the lock and unlock commands. In place of that, we have the edit command. So much more intuitive for users to understand how to make a change to an item. They simply click that big blue edit button. Now I want to point out that we've not made a change at the database level. At the database, it is still lock and unlock. So we've not made any changes on that side of it, but this is purely on the client side so that users can understand how they need to edit an item. So to show you that, clicking edit will basically lock the item and put it in an editable state so I can go ahead and make some changes. And then you'll notice that toolbar changed to show save, done, and discard. So that also makes it very obvious that I'm in a different state now and I can edit that item. Save behaves the same as it would previously. It just saves the item, but we've added these two new commands, done and discard. So if I make a change here and click done, what it's going to do is both save and unlock the item. So you'll see that change has been saved. If I go ahead and do that again and do discard, it's just going to unlock that item and discard my changes. Additionally, with this, you'll see that that flag at the top has been lit up green. So that flag is called claim. That basically represents lock. So if I go ahead and discard here, you'll notice that it has gone clear again, which is showing that it's unlocked or unclaimed. I can click that flag as well, and that's just going to claim the item. So that's not a typical use case, but we wanted to provide the option to claim the item in cases that I just explicitly want to prevent some other user from making a change, but I'm not really ready to make a change myself. So to illustrate the intention of that, I'll go back into edit mode. I'm going to make another change. And when I'm in edit mode, the system is always going to try to unlock my item once I'm done. And the point of this is to prevent accidental cases of users leaving the item locked. In Innovator 11, we got a lot of feedback from users that people would accidentally leave their items locked, preventing other users from editing them. So whenever you go into edit mode now, the system will try to unlock the item once you're done. So for example, I've made a change here, and if I go and try to close this tab now, I'm going to get prompted to save or discard my changes. And once I do that, I can go ahead and search for that item again. and see that when I open it, it's now unlocked. I'm taken out of edit mode. If I go into edit mode and say I didn't make a change, I can close that tab. And it's not going to prompt me, but it is going to go ahead and unlock that. So when I open it again, it's back in view mode. So the intent of that is just to kind of automate the process for the user, to give them the opportunity to not have to worry about whether they're unlocking the item. Just once they're done and close something, they'll be prompted when appropriate, and the item will be unlocked and accessible to other users. So the difference with that claim flag is if I go ahead and claim that, that will actually allow me to close this tab and keep that item claimed. And I can log out and that item will be reserved for me and no other user can change that. But we see that as less of a common case, but we wanted to provide for the ability to do that as well. Another thing I want to point out with item toolbar is that once you create a new part, you will see a different toolbar. You'll see that the title up here just says, gives the item type label and an incremental number to show you that this is a new item, and a simplified toolbar with only save, done, and delete. So this really calls attention to the fact that this item has not yet been saved in the database. All those other commands aren't really applicable at this time. All I can really do is put in my initial values and then save that, or alternatively choose to delete it. You'll see in the relationship toolbar, we've made some changes as well. We've added the item type icon and label for the related item. You'll see that the search commands look very similar to the main search commands. And then the create relationship buttons have been modified a little bit so that you actually have separate buttons for pick related and create related, where previously we had a single drop down and a button where you had to select an option from the drop down first and then click the button. Now we simply just have separate buttons for the separate commands. It makes it really obvious what options are available to you in different tabs. Like you'll see here, there's cases where you can add a row without selecting the related item yet, or in some cases you don't have a related item and you just have that add row button. So those buttons will show up as relevant, so there's no need to select something from a drop-down first anymore. All right, so with that, I think that covers the rest of the demo. I'll hand it over to Nicole and we can take some questions.
Thank you, Kenny. Make sure to enter in any questions you have into the Q&A panel. How do you perform multiple sorting, say first by type and then by name?
To perform multiple sorting on a grid, you can first select the first thing you want to sort by, and then you hold the control key and select a second column, and you'll notice that that's showing you the sequence in which you've selected that, and you can keep holding the control key down and move on to as many columns as you'd like.
What happened to the properties pane? Where can we find thumbnail preview images?
So that's still available. It's turned off by default, but as soon as you make a change to that, it will remember it and keep it for the next time you access that search. But that's available from this display menu and preview properties. So that properties preview is available here, and I can switch that to form preview as well. So those have not been removed. They're still available, but just set to be off by default. And just to point out, there's going to be a few other commands in this menu as well in the future. That's why there's only this one right now.
Does the item type setting unlock on logout still work given the new edit and claim behavior?
It does. So there's a configuration setting on item type where you can set the item to automatically unlock on logout. So like I illustrated for items, whenever I'm in edit mode, by clicking edit, the system will always try to unlock the item when I close the tab or when I log out. But there's still the case of when I click claim. So clicking claim allows me to keep the item locked even when I log out, but that setting on item type, unlock on logout, will override this to remove that claim when you log out.
Do we still have item info?
You do still have item info, and like I said, you can see that from this properties preview screen, as well as you can add that back on the form if you'd like.
Will the ability to customize accordions be done by administrators, or will each user be able to personalize it?
The intent, at least initially, is to do that by administrators, so there will be one or at least one defined layout for an item view, but it will be configured by administrators, but we want to at least provide administrators the ability to provide different layouts for different identities. So if you get a separate group of users that want to see something in a different way than others, you can configure that differently, but it will be defined at the administrative level.
Okay. I heard a rumor at ACE that Aras plans to provide some kind of tab indicators so users can more easily see if relationships are empty or not. Is this rumor true?
That is something that I've heard, and that's something we've discussed internally. We need to find a way to do that in a way that's not going to impact performance negatively, because currently the tabs that are not shown aren't loaded. So if we wanted to show that indicator, it would take longer to load because it's going to have to check all those. So we're still exploring that at this time.
Okay, I see a question. I'm not sure if you can answer this, Kenny, or if this is for our training team, but when will training classes for 12 be available?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I can't answer that question.
All right, so we will get back to you on that one. Is there a limit on how many tabs may be opened at once?
Currently, no, there's no limit on that. That is something that I've heard before, and we're looking for feedback. If we've obviously tested this internally, and we've not encountered major problems, but if you identify some problem with that or want to limit your users, we want to hear that feedback, and we can possibly provide a configuration setting to limit that if you see the need for that.
All right. Is there any changes with the extended classifications/properties?
There is no changes to that at this time, but we do have quite a backlog on that as well, so that will be coming as well in later service packs.
Okay. There's still a lot of questions here. I'm only going to take one more before we move on. Can an admin unclaim an object on behalf of someone else in case of emergency?
I believe so. We've not made a change to that. I believe you're able to do that in 11, and that should be remained unchanged in 12 as well.
Okay. So I want to thank everyone for their questions. I apologize for the ones that we didn't get to today, but as I said at the beginning, we will reach out to you directly with the answers to your questions. I'm going to leave you with our upcoming demo series topics. On June 20th, we will be covering managing your ECAD data in Aras Innovator. And then on July 11th, we will be taking a look at Agile for the Enterprise with Safe Portal. Again, you can register for upcoming demos and view any past demos at www.aras.com/demo-series. We'd love for you to join the Open Aras PLM community. We have blogs, forums, community projects, and knowledge bases with a lot of good information. Be sure to follow Aras on social. You can find us on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, where we share industry-related news and articles, the latest Aras news, products, assets, and more. Finally, be sure not to miss out on our future ACE events. We'd love to see you all there, hear your feedback, answer your questions, and give you the opportunity to network with the PLM community, Aras employees, partners, and more. We thank you for joining us today and look forward to having you join us next time. Thank you and have a good day.